Hey, it's Jason with jams.net. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I want to talk about some of the gardens that we have in our backyard. We've had these gardens for many years, and I built this a couple years ago to start getting into raised beds. However, we want to add one here, and I stumbled across all of these metal raised garden beds that exist, and the company Vegega was nice enough to sponsor me and send me one to test out. So I'm going to actually install it here. And I'm going to talk about why I'm going with a metal bed versus just building another wood one. And I'm going to talk about the assembly and how to put it together. This is a really affordable option. Frankly, it's cheaper than my time and materials to do this one. Tune in, let's have at it, and let's get the new Vegega Raised Garden Bed set up. Hey, it's Jason with jams.net. Thanks for tuning in. It's an exciting day here in the garden because I have an 8x4 raised bed that I built out of wood. And sure, it's good enough, but I've just been seeing a ton online of these metal raised beds. This specific one is Vegega. It's the Dream Garden Creator. They were nice enough to send this to me at no cost to test here in our garden and see how it does. So what I'm going to do is actually take a video of installing this, unpacking it, filling it up, and even leveling the ground where it's going to go. A few fun facts, though, about these raised metal garden beds. You probably see them all over the internet. In fact, you see a lot of content creators talking about them in their urban homes. I'm using it in more of a rural environment with lots of gardens because I think it's a good setting here, and I think it's going to frankly add a little bit of pizzazz to the outdoor garden area. So this is going to be less of the how cute it is and more of how good is it, how much does it work, and how easy is it to set up. But a few facts. These are hard metal panels. If you live on some acreage like I do, you know darn well that there's going to be field mice and even Norway rats in some cases. And they will eat through absolutely anything, even peck at wood. Usually metal, not going to be an issue. We have backyard chickens, so this is going to be good. It's also an eco-friendly material. It's debatable that if you use pressure-treated lumber, that it may not be as good for your raised beds. I have no choice but to use pressure-treated lumber because I want it to last, but this is supposed to be eco-friendly, which means it shouldn't leach anything into the soil. They're easy to assemble. This is going to be significantly easier for the backyard gardener that doesn't have tools and saws. This setup here that I built took me a little bit of time. I had to go to Lowe's. I had to haul a bunch of, I got 10-foot boards so I could cut them down. I had to get 2x4x8s. I had to dig the post in, screw it. It was a lot more work to set up, and it's more of a permanent setup at that point. This is going to be significantly quicker. It's long-lasting. They claim the Vegega is going to last 20 years. It also is good down to a negative 148 degrees Fahrenheit or up to 200 degrees. If you hit any of those extremes in temperature, you're going to have bigger issues. It's also less bending, so I guess it won't bend down. You can see that this wood does give a little bit. That's just naturally because I don't have a cross support, no soil contamination, and ultimately they say you can grow more in less space. So what did I get? The one I got here is an 8-foot by 4-foot garden. An 8x4 is going to give me plenty of space within this section, and it will be similar to the square footage of this unit right here. The specific one I got is the upgraded version. It's the 2.0. It is 17 inches tall. It's 8x4, and they call it the 10-in-1. I went with the gray design setup. Now, some things I want to show you here. When you unpack it, they give you a really handy book, and it gives you all the different designs. This is the one I have, the 10-in-1. But as you flip through the book, you can see there's actually ways that you can set some of these up in specialty designs. So when you order this from Vegega, you're going to want to make sure you understand what you're buying and plan the space for it. Most importantly, the slope of the soil here, I could just plop it down, but it's going to be at a slope. I'm going to actually grade this back here and bring this soil down so that way, and then take some of the soil put here to make more of a flat 8x4 surface. They do give you the certification of this. It is SGS certified, and lots of other things relative to the metal they're using, and in fact it being eco-friendly. So what's the point of this video? I'm going to unpackage this. I'm going to assemble it. Once it's assembled, I'm going to move it out of the way, and then I'm going to ultimately grade the soil. Probably going to use the tractor to save myself some headache, just do a quick scrape, because this bucket is 4 feet wide, so I can pretty much drop the bucket and just scrape up and move some of the soil. And then once I have that tamped down, I'm going to place this. Once it's placed, I am going to put landscape fabric down to keep some weeds from going up. Then I'm going to add some sticks. I'm going to add some leaves, and then I have about a yard of compost soil, Peel Grow, in the back of my pickup, and I'm going to put some of that in here. So stay tuned. Let's go ahead and start unpackaging this, and then once it's unpackaged, we will actually begin the assembly. Really appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to jams.net. It means a lot to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and unpackage this bad boy. As you know, you're going to have the manual, which I already talked about. And again, this is the 8-foot by 4-foot Vegega. I'm probably saying that wrong. Don't hold it against me. So I want to show you what you're going to get when this ships to you. It is a pretty heavy box, but, you know, it's a lot of pieces. You have the stripping that's going to go on the top. So this presumably is going to span the whole 8-foot by 4-foot raised garden bed. Then I have my curved panels right here. I went again with the gray look panel, which I think would be kind of nice. That's my hope anyways.
Yes.
Nothing else in there. And we have the straight sides right here. They do have a protective covering on them, which is good. Keep it from scratching. And then we have 52 of the probably screws. Then I have more of the straight side panels. And then it looks like we have the cross supports that will go to hold this, because it's 4 feet in width, so you don't want to have any of the soil push anything back too far. Okay, so I want to open up this little pack here, because 56 plus 2 sets, I want to see what all this hardware is, so I can understand exactly what I'm working with and what tools I might need. I'm going to keep everything in the bucket of my tractor here, just to keep me nice and organized. So they give you basically like a socket wrench almost, a little tiny Allen wrench type device. So that's what I'm going to use to, I guess, tighten everything up. I might use my screw gun if I have a bit that fits. And then you have a whole lot of Phillips head screws. And then you have the nuts here, which you use that for, and the washers. So quite a bit in there. So when you're building this, definitely have a place where you can work and keep all of these items. And then doing the 10-in-1, there's not really a whole lot of instructions. Now granted, this company Vegega is in China, so it's just like IKEA. They typically don't put words because this is sold globally and everywhere. But I'm going to basically have one. These are going to be my end pieces here. So these are going to be the end piece before it goes into the curve. So this is going to be an end piece and this is going to be an end piece. But let's take a look and talk about the quality of this metal. It's stainless steel, or it's steel, I should say. It's coated. They put this protective on it. Presumably I'll take this off as I'm assembling it because they don't want it to scratch when it's being shipped. Kind of a pain to get off here. Here we go. So you get a better idea of the finish. So it's individually, the piece it's not that heavy. You know, it definitely seems like if I wanted to bend this, I could. So it's not as thick as what I'm using in my wooden garden beds, but at the same time, it's a higher quality metal, which shouldn't rot. So once all of it's connected and you have the cross support, it will be good. So this is the end. That's the end. This looks to be the first curve, so there should be 4 of these. So then it's going to kind of be like that, and then the other one on the other side like that, and then you just put the pieces together, and then the other one will be like that. That will go on the back, and then you shoot the straight pieces down. And I have quite a few of the straight pieces here. And it's, you know, similar quality, and then these are going to be the sides. So basically it's going to go like that. And they're just going to basically interconnect like so. So that's how they're going to interconnect, and then you're going to screw them. Hopefully these screws are good quality and don't rust over time. So let's go back to the manual. And, you know, I think you just got to kind of use your own basic interpretation and knowledge of how to do this. Now it shows you. Here we go. So remove the protective films. Keep the holes aligned between the 2 panels. Put the screw in. And you hold the back of the nut with what they give you and use a Phillips head screwdriver to tighten it. You do that for all of them. Then you put the bracing rods in the middle. Then you apply the protective edging. Let's get to work. I'm going to do a time-lapse video of this whole install. I'm going to give myself some more room to work, but I'm going to do the time-lapse to actually show, and then I'll take some breaks at each step and actually show you each individual step. Okay, so the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the pieces and I'm going to set them up against this bed, and I'm going to remove all the plastic. So that is step 1, to remove all the plastic, discard it, and I'm going to lay everything out so I know exactly what I'm working with, because each piece has 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 screws for each panel. So there's going to be a fair amount of screwing that you're going to have to do. So step 1, remove the plastic. Okay, step 1 is done. All of the pieces have the plastic removed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 total pieces. Kind of a pain, but it's a good pain because it means that they're protecting their product when it ships. Budget about 15 minutes. Maybe even 20 minutes to get all 14 panels removed. And then I can just start screwing. But I'm going to take a little bit of a lunch break on this lovely weekend. But then I can tackle 52 pieces to hook that up. So far, so good. Stay tuned. Okay, so with the panels ready to go, the next step is you can actually begin to assemble them. And that's basically just constructing them. I'm going to go in this shape. And the way you're gonna do this is gonna be the screw on the outside. Inside, you're gonna have a washer, and then you're gonna have your nut on the back side. You will use this tool to hold the nut on the inside so you can screw it nice and tight. I have my variable speed screw gun set up, so I cannot over torque it. It won't let me. I have it set to level 1 just to give me a little bit more efficiency. So let me go ahead and get the first one queued up, and then I'll show you up close how that looks. So what I've done here is I've just hand tightened them, and then what I'm going to do is use my variable screw gun. You do not need to do this. I'm just trying to save myself a little time to put that on the back, and then I'm just going to do this. And when it clicks, because I have this set, I know that it's as tight as it needs to go. So instead of turning the screwdriver, I'm gonna put this on level 7 actually, because I just hand tightened it. So then I know we're good. Then I can just go to the top one here. Same thing. And I go to the very top one. Same thing. And then the very bottom one. Same thing. And now we have the back done. So just to look a little bit closer, you can see the screws are all aligned. And you can see in here, this is how it ultimately, I'll try to get some shade in here. I know it can be hard to see, but you can see the screws. And this is gonna basically be the back. So each panel is going to have 4 screws, 8, 4 on each side. So you figure if you think about this, 80, there's about 100 or so different screws you're gonna be doing on all of this, 104 to be exact. So that's why I'm using the screw gun, because I can just, versus, doing it by hand with a screwdriver, which isn't a big deal. So let me finish this up. The time lapse is going to show it, and then I'll show you what the next step is. So far, pretty easy. Okay, you can see that it is coming along quite nice. It's pretty easy to assemble. You literally are just matching up the holes and then just screw it in. That center support's gonna obviously be super important. But I haven't been working on it that long. Maybe this side has taken me 15, 20 minutes. So probably 40-minute assembly, leisurely taking my time. Now I'm gonna work on the back here. I'm gonna put the big piece here, then the corner, and then the 4 edges. Okay, let's take a look at this bad boy. 8x4, you can see the footprint. It's basically the same. All that's left for construction on this is to put the protective little ribbing on top and the center post, which I'll do here in a moment. And then construction of where it's gonna go, because you can see if I don't level the ground, it's sitting at a slope. It's gotta come up about 6 inches. So I gotta take about 6 inches of ground and slope it down and bring some of it back, just like I did this. So let's look at the next step here. Place the bracing rods. So that seems easy enough. You put those in the middle. Boom, boom. I'll put one right here, and I'll put one right there. So the bracing rods come with 2 long poles, and it has some of these short ones, which I believe are just for different applications and the way you install it. And then it comes with this screw to connect the 2 together, and I'm gonna basically put it on the first screw right here, or the second one down, and you're going to take the nut off of the other side, and it's basically going to go like that. So this, obviously needs to come over a little bit. So I'll take the nut off this and that, and then screw this end into it. Yeah, this worked perfectly, and the nice thing is I don't have that gap anymore. So I was clearly using the wrong poles, and you want to use the super long one and then the short side if you're doing a 4-foot span. Okay, so what I did was I just took a spade and I just edged the area that I need to level, and you can see I'm going to have to do a bit of digging on the back half. I'm going to take that dirt and throw it back to the back once I get some of this grass off, because that's going to be needed to elevate this up a little bit. It's a pretty big slope back here, and I'm going to use the tractor, which should make my life a little bit easier. Okay, so I have all the grass removed, and now I just have to basically level this out. I'm going to be leveling it with compost, about a 30% mixture of compost and soil. And then I'll take the Vegega and I'll put it where it goes. And I buy soil in bulk. This is just really high quality garden soil, and you can get a whole yard for $42, where you might pay $3-4 a bag for similar quality. And I use this all around the property, but I'm going to put it pretty heavy in the back to raise it. I'm going to pat it down with my tamper and then put some over here, so then I should get a relatively level surface. Okay, so I had the landscape fabric down. My next step is going to be to put some of these newspapers on it, just to kind of decompose and turn into organic matter. I'm going to throw a bunch of pine needles in here, some sticks, and then I'm going to load up the soil back there, and that will be a really good soil that will break down and give me layers of different material over time. And then I'll cover these edges in with some of the loose dirt that I have. So I'm going to keep loading up some of the pine needles and sticks, and I'm going to throw that soil in. I'm debating how high I'm going to go with the soil. I might only go halfway up, which puts me right at the support bars, which would be plenty of soil and give me plenty of room to turn it and do other things. Okay, project is done. This is what the finished project looks like. The Vegega 17-inch 8x4 raised garden bed. I'm very happy with how this turned out. I'm probably gonna add a bit more soil to it, but this is 17 inches, and you can see I'm probably 6 to 8 inches would be right here. About 6 inches of soil in there, which is pretty good. If you're looking for a raised bed, I'm pretty pleased with this. Thank you, Vegega, for sponsoring me. It means a lot to me, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. This project I did over the course of the weekend in one day. Putting it together wasn't that bad. Getting the site how I wanted it with the slope took a little bit longer, but if you're obviously on flat surface, it's going to be much easier. Give me a subscribe, and I hope that you find this useful. Discount codes in the comments. Take advantage of them. Save yourself some time and get something that's going to last a long time. Have a great day.